Hey guys, this is Davis with 64 Squares. Chess is hard. We all know that. Especially starting out, it can be easy to feel frustrated and wonder why you're not improving. You see guys like Gotham Chess, Hikaru, Eric Rose and Chessbra. They make it look so easy when they hop online and they play. Um, but remember, they all started as beginners as well. Everybody's got to start somewhere. And so today I'm going to teach you guys how to get to 1,000 rating, what the biggest mistakes beginners make, and why you're not improving at chess. Okay, let's take this position for example. The first mistake I want to talk about is just hanging pieces, which is a huge thing that's very easily fixable that beginners do that is keeping them from winning games and keeping them locked behind those lower ratings. So let's take this position for example. This is a line out of the Vienna copycat variation. Basically, if we want to go back, it starts with e4, e5. We're going to play knight c3. They'll play knight c6, bishop c4, and bishop c5. This is why it's called the copycat variation. They're kind of copying us. Then we'll go queen g4. They'll go queen f6, hitting this pawn. We're actually okay to leave this pawn undefended here. This is actually a line because we attack the queen. And right here, if this queen was still here, then this would be mate. But in this position, if the queen takes, we actually have king d1. And in this position, it's very easy for both sides to go wrong here, especially black. It's very dangerous for black because we're hitting this pawn, threatening the rook. We're also hitting this pawn, which threatens a fork, taking the other rook. So here, for example, let's just say black, let's see, think of the typical moves black could do in this position. Right now, one of the moves that they could play is this, and here we'll play here. Queen can come to d4. It's actually the only move that they have, and here we're actually threatening the queen. They may play something like bishop here, give their queen some room, and white is actually completely winning here. But let's say we get tunnel vision and we're like, oh, like I want to, right here we can take the queen. Actually, no, scratch that. If we move a bishop to e3, then queen can take here. But it's a huge thing that beginners have trouble with. Right here, this is an X-ray. So let's just say white just makes, just a regular move. I don't know, something like this. And black goes here. It's very easy to forget if you're thinking, oh, like let's attack the queen. Let's do that. Let's attack the king. Let's do this. Let's say they make a move like this. Boom. You're already lost. You're losing the queen, and it's with check. And there's not a lot of good ways to get out of this check too, so it's just really bad for white. That's an example where you're not seeing the whole board. You're just focusing on your own ideas. Another example, let's say they don't do this. We actually have a queen trap here if they don't do anything, so that's why I mentioned moving the bishop back. Something else black could do here. They're like, oh, let me give a check to the king, and they just forget about the queen. Let's say they make this move in this position. Oh, they forget the queen can come back too. Boom, you just lost a bishop. And again, white is just crushing here. Just things like that, little moves like that where you're not completely seeing the whole board can really screw you over, even if you were doing well in a game. So now I just want to move on to the next tip that I have, or the next mistake that I see beginners make. Another big mistake you see a lot of beginners make, it's very typical for when you're starting out, is the tendency to just trade everything as soon as it's available. Let's take this position for example. Right now, this position out of the Ruy Lopez Steinitz defense, and right now this bishop has this knight, the c6 knight, in a absolute pin. And when I say absolute pin, I mean that it's pinned and it doesn't have a legal move, because let's say the queen was here, for example, the knight could move. It wouldn't necessarily be good for you because you'd lose your queen, but the knight could move. Here, the knight can't even move at all because moving the knight would put their king in check. This this light square bishop is very strong, and it's preventing the knight from doing anything. So here, a good move, maybe in this position, something like d4. They take, we take, we put even more pressure on the knight, and this is really bad. But or not really bad. They can get out of it, but it's a lot stronger than, let's say, many beginners would just take here, which is fine. It's okay, but why would you get this knight can't move? Like, why would you get rid of this powerful pin, which when you could possibly use it in the future? Now, if they kick you out, it's maybe a different story. Maybe it'll be, a good idea to let's see, instead of that move, let's just do something like a little more passive, like d3. Let's say they try to kick you out. Here, it'd make a little more sense to take because by moving your bishop back, you're kind of losing a tempo. Let's say here they could go b5, and now their knight's not under a pin anymore. So here in this position, you maybe would think about taking more, but many beginners, they just take automatically because they're like, oh, it's a trade. I can make a trade. Trades aren't bad, but generally, you want to think before you're making any trade that you make, especially when it comes for giving up a bishop or a knight, because bishops are generally considered more strong. Knights are tricky, but bishops have more scope of the whole board, whereas knights, especially let's say if they're on the rim, I don't know, this could be a move. This is not even bad, but here this would be a decent trade for black because you're getting rid of their strong bishop, and this knight a5 move is pretty typical for these kind of positions. But yeah, another tip is just to think before you trade. Think before you trade. Third big mistake I want to bring attention to that beginners make is not thinking about your opponent's ideas. In particular, beginners get a lot of tunnel vision. And this is a super common example that you'll see of this concept that I'm talking about. It comes in the wayward queen attack. So white plays e4, black plays e5, and then white brings their queen out to h5. Right now, we see that the queen's in our territory. It's really annoying. So, like, what if we're like, oh, we want to kick this queen out, so we play g6. It's a massive mistake because now we didn't think about what our opponent wanted to do. When our opponent came down, they're attacking this pawn, and here you want to defend it. You want to defend the pawn, but let's say you didn't defend the pawn. You just attack the queen. Now the queen can take here, and it's really bad. You're gonna lose your rook. You have to block this check. Block with a knight, they take. If you block with a bishop, they take. Same thing if you block with your queen, they just take. So not thinking about your opponent's ideas is a big, huge mistake that it's probably one of the bigger ones that's harder to break out of. You're thinking about what you want to do. Oh, if they don't see it, I could take this queen. But you're not thinking about what your opponent really wants in this position. Let's keep going down the line. So let's say you defend your pawn here, and I'm sure you've seen this if you started playing chess. They'll bring their bishop here, and now if you pay attention, they have two attackers in this pawn, and king's the only defender. They're actually threatening checkmate here. So let's say you get through the initial pawn, you protect your pawn, and you're like, oh, let's get rid of the queen, and you should play knight f6. Game's immediately over with queen takes, which is checkmate. And this happens all the time to beginners. It's happened to me. It's probably happened to you when you're first starting out. So here we really, the biggest priority is protecting this pawn. We need to do something about this. And there's a couple of things we can do, but the best move here is just block the queen. Here, no, we don't want to take. We don't want to take. That wouldn't be good for them. They just give up a queen. But here this move works because this pawn is oh crap. Not trying to do all that stuff, but the queen can't take this pawn because it's defended. So now the queen usually move back to like f3 or something. And again, they're attacking this pawn. So let's just say, oh, I want to develop my bishop. Again, it's mate. And here we want to play knight f6, which blocks the queen's defense. This is defended, and then we'll defend later. They might play something like this. They want to get their bishop here, put more pressure. Just defend the knight again. They'll usually play g5, and then we'll just castle. And then here, they might play knight c3. Now we can attack the queen. Queen's got to go back. And at this point, we just play chess. But it's a huge thing is you got to think about your opponent's ideas, what they want, what they're going for, and not just your own ideas. If you get television, I'm just attacking this queen, things can go badly for you. So yeah, that's one big mistake another big mistake that I see people make. Another big mistake I see people make is bad time management. And this is kind of harder for me to show, so that's why I turned the camera back on, show me, keep you guys a little more engaged. But time management is a huge thing that people have to work on, especially when you're starting out and you try to play blitz, something like that. You're not as used to these positions that you're playing, and beginners have a tendency to think way too long on moves that, especially if they're playing blitz and there's less time, on moves that don't need to be thought about so much. Really, a big thing you have to learn is to spend time on positions that are critical, that are going to make a big difference in the game. So if it's something simple, like there's multiple moves that are good, just make a move, and the game goes on and everything. And to really spend your time thinking about the positions that are actually critical and could swing the game one way or another. And that can be a hard thing to figure out, especially when you're starting out. And like, what constitutes a critical position? And that's not always an easy thing to answer, but it's something you kind of figure out as you play more games and as you get experience. So you don't want to spend too long on moves on positions where there's plenty of decent moves you can play, and you want to spin moves on critical positions. And so that way, when you make it to the end game, you're able to finish off and win those games without running out of time. That's why people recommend that beginners play more rapid or longer time controls, like 15-10 instead of a 3-0. That way, as you're learning, you have more time to think, and you're not getting into those positions where you're just scrambling and you end up losing games that you shouldn't because you're running out of time. That's why I recommend playing increment. Even when I play blitz, I almost always play 3-2. And when I say 3-2, I mean a game where each side gets 3 minutes and 2-second increments. So each move you make, you get 2 extra seconds. So I play that, so I don't have to worry about time pressure as much. But yeah, time management's a huge thing that people struggle with. They end up losing on time because they thought too long during positions they didn't really need to think too much. But yeah, that's another big mistake. The last big mistake that I want to focus on or talk about is miscalculating, and in particular miscounting defenders. So here, this position, for example, white would love to play d4. But the problem is, let's say, hey, let's play d4, let's expand the center. First of all, this pawn is undefended. But again, like I said earlier in the video, it may not be a good idea for them to take. But here, let's say we play d4. Engine doesn't like it, obviously, because black can take, and let's say, when we take back, boom, you just lost the piece. Simply because you didn't calculate the amount of defenders correctly. So here, when we're talking about this square, the e-pawn's defending, the bishop's defending, and the knight's defending. So if we really want to play d4, we got to play something like c3, prepare it. And now, say they castle. Now we can play d4 because they take. Now we have the correct amount of attackers versus defenders, so it works out for us. Yeah, I mean, these are just kind of basic tips. Again, I'm really new to this, so I'm kind of still learning as I go, trying to create this content for you guys. So please let me know what you'd like to see more of. These are just some tips that I see newer players. I have a lot of friends that have just started playing chess, so that's one thing. I have a few of these tips that I've noticed people struggle with at first, but yeah, I have many plans for this channel. So please let me know what you want to see more of. And I would love to hear any feedback from you guys in the comments. So yeah, take care, and hope you guys have a great day. Peace.